Okay, let's begin our today's lecture. Let me share my screen with you so that you can see on the slides which I have made. Okay, that is our today's topic, Constitution of India, भारत का संविधान, and इसकी क्या importance है? What is the importance and how it has came into our life? I can say that. So in the starting, they are saying the Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. The document lays down the framework, demarcating fundamental political code, structure, procedures, powers, and duties of government, institutions, and sets out fundamental rights, directive principles, and the duties of citizens. It is the longest written constitution of any country on earth. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, chairman of the drafting committee, is widely considered to be its chief architect. So that is the introduction of it. They are trying to tell you that what do you mean by Constitution of India? Constitution of India is the supreme law of India. All the other laws they are based on Constitution of India. What it tells you about, it tells you about the fundamental codes, fundamental structure, powers, duties. It tells you about the directive principles, duties of citizens, rights of citizens. They are saying it is the longest written constitution of any country you can think of, because Dr. B.R. Ambedkar he tried to put crux of or the qualities of uh, every good constitution of the world. He read many constitutions like USA, Canada, Japan, Germany. So he read lot many constitutions. Then after that, he drafted this constitution for us. He is called as the chief architect of Indian constitution. It imparts constitutional supremacy, not parliamentary supremacy, since it was created by a constituent assembly rather than parliament. So constitution is not made by parliament. That's very important. It is made by constituent assembly. It was adopted by the people of India with a declaration in its preamble. Parliament cannot override the constitution. So it is the supreme power, and they are saying that with the it does not have into the hands of Parliament that they can change anything into it. So they can do provisions, but they cannot change entirely the constitution, or they cannot cancel the constitution of India. They are saying it was adopted by the Constituent Assembly of India on 26th November 1949 and became effective on 26 January 1950. तो इसीलिए हमारी बुक्स में जब भी बात आती है तो 26 जनवरी 1950 को माना जाता है कि हमारा जो संविधान था वो लागू हुआ था. दिस इज हाउ it became effective. As I've said that it came into our lives. The Constitution replaced the Government of India Act 1935 as the country's fundamental governing document, and the Dominion of India became the Republic of India. भारत के आज़ादी से पहले, बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस ऑफ इंडिया, Indian territory was ruled under the Government of India Act 1935, and we were not Republic of India, we were Dominion of India. Means we were part of British empire, and that is how they have said that Indian territory which was under control of direct control of Britishers. But now we have become a republic. Republic means the people of India are ruling the country. It is the country which is ruled by people, citizens of it. India celebrates its constitution on 26 January as Republic Day. The Constitution declares India as a sovereign, secular, democratic republic, assuring its citizens justice, equality, liberty, and endeavors to promote fraternity. कहते हैं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इंडिया का डिक्लेयर करता है हमें एज ए सॉवरन स्टेट, सोशलिस्ट स्टेट। सॉवरन मीन्स इंडिपेंडेंट, सोशलिस्ट मीन्स लोगों की गवर्नमेंट, लोगों के द्वारा चुनी गई सरकार जिसमें लोगों का राज हो। सेकुलर, धर्मनिरपेक्ष। डेमोक्रेटिक, आपको पता है अगेन, डेमोक्रेसी के द्वारा किए जाने वाला रूल जिसमें डिक्टेटरशिप एंड मोनार्की से डिफरेंट रूल होता है। एश्योरिंग इट्स सिटीजन्स, विच इज एश्योरिंग इट्स सिटीजन, गिविंग जस्टिस, उनको प्रॉपर मिलेगा। इक्वालिटी के ऊपर बात की जाएगी, कोई भी बड़ा या छोटा नहीं है। लिबर्टी, सबको लिबर्टी मिली हुई है। एंड एंडेवर्स टू प्रमोट फ्रेटर्निटी, और प्रयास किए गए हैं इसमें कौमी एकता के लिए, फ्रेटर्निटी को प्रमोट करना। The original 1950 constitution is preserved in a helium-filled case at the Parliament House in New Delhi. So the first written constitution, its first copy, it is saved in what do you call, a box which has got chemical, I can say that, which is saving it from destroying. The words secular and socialist were added to the preamble in 1976. They are saying the words जो secular और socialist आए हैं वो 1976 में। Let's discuss his background. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who is also very famous to be known as Baba Sahib Ambedkar, chairman of the drafting committee presenting the final draft of the Indian Constitution to the Constituent Assembly, President Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first president, on 25th November 1949. In 1928, the All Parties Conference convened a committee in Lucknow to prepare the Constitution of India, which was known as the Nehru Report. 1928 में सभी पार्टीज जितनी भी उस टाइम पे भारत में काम कर रही थी, उन्होंने इकट्ठे होकर इस तरफ कदम बढ़ाया कि यस, दे इन लखनऊ दैट वी विल प्रिपेयर आवर ओन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, वी विल नॉट rule on the basis of the system which is given to us by someone else. And that report is known as Nehru Report. Most of the colonial India was under British rule from 1857 to 1947. 1947 to 50, the same legislation continued to be implemented as India was dominion of Britain for these years, as each princely state was convinced by Sardar Patel and VP Menon to sign the Articles of Integration with India, and the British government continued to be responsible for the external security of the country. Thus, the Constitution of India repealed the Indian Independence Act 1947 and the Government of India Act 1935 when it became effective on 26 January 1950. India ceased to be a dominion of the British Crown and became a sovereign democratic republic with the Constitution. So these are the articles of the Constitution came into force on 26 November 1949 and the remaining articles became effective on 26 January 1950. So this is the background. Before we were the dominion of India, which was under the direct control of Britishers. So rule भी उन्हीं का चल रहा था. Name was India Independence Act, या इससे पहले Government of India Act 1935 चल रहा था. So in the meantime, Sardar Patel, who was a very famous leader of India, Iron Man of India, who was known as, he actually played a vital role. Otherwise, आज इंडिया इससे भी छोटा होता. So he had word with uh, princely states, means kingdoms where kings were ruling, and he somehow, with friendly proposals, or somehow with the strict compliance, he made everybody to sign the Articles of Integration, that all the kingdoms now will be part of India. And there are a lot of countries in the world, those who are still following the British pattern. But India in 1950 declared this thing that we do not follow and do not want to be the part of British crown. So now India has become a sovereign state, free state, and we will be following our own terms and conditions, which is called as the Constitution of India. And this is how we have enacted that. We have told to the entire world. So this is what we are going to follow. Previous legislation. The Constitution was drawn from a number of sources. Mindful of India's needs and conditions, its framers borrowed features of previous legislation such as Government of India Act 1858, the Indian Council Acts of 1861, 1892, and 1909, the Government of India Act 1919, 1935, and the Indian Independence Act 1947. The latter, which led to the creation of India and Pakistan, divided the former Constituent Assembly into two. Each new assembly had sovereign power to draft and enact a new constitution for the separate states. Earlier talk was that All India Party was framing the Constitution of India and Pakistan was part of India. But because of certain conditions and the rise of All India Muslim League, which has become a Muslim League party later on, has demanded for the new country, Pakistan, and this is how Pakistan came into existence. So, this has given the permission to them or provide the sovereignty to them that they can draft separately their own new constitution. This is how two constitutions has been made. One was for Pakistan, one was for India. The constitution was drafted by a constituent assembly which was elected by elected members of the provincial assembly. 389 members assembly reduced to 299 after the partition of India. So rest went to Pakistan. Took almost 3 years to draft the constitution, holding 11 sessions over a 165-day period. Dr. Ambedkar was a wise constitutional expert. He had studied the constitution of about 60 countries. Try to pay attention over there. I told you I named you just 4 or 5 countries, but he had read 60 countries' constitution. That is how he is recognized as the father of the Constitution of India. In Constitution Assembly, a member of the drafting committee, K.T. Krishnamachari, said that, Mr. President, sir, I am one of those in the House who have listened to Dr. Ambedkar very carefully. I am aware of the amount of work and enthusiasm that he has brought to bear on the work of drafting this constitution. So he's trying to tell that what is the role of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in making the constitution. At the same time, I do realize that amount of attention that was necessary for the purpose of drafting the constitution, so important to us at this moment, has not been given to it by the drafting committee. The House is perhaps aware that of 7 members nominated by you, you nominated 7 people. One has resigned, one died, one away in America, one busy in state affairs. 1 or 2 people or the remaining people were far away from Delhi because of the health reasons. So ultimately, a burden of drafting the constitution, it has come onto the shoulders of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and he completed this task in a very commendable manner. So these are the influences we have in our constitution. We were under the control of Britishers. So the first influence is from United Kingdom, UK, Britain, England, all different names of one country. What is the influence? Parliamentary government and concept of single citizenship, rule of law, the legislative speaker and their role, and legislative procedure. So the government system we are following in India, that is, we have taken from England. The same it is happening there. They have House of Common and House of Lords. We have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So we are following the same pattern. So this is how we got influenced from UK. Second influence is from USA, United States of America. What we have taken from their constitution, rights, federal structure, electoral college means voting system, independent judiciary. Judiciary should be free from any influence. Judicial reviews, president as commander in chief in the armed forces, and equal protection under law. So these are few things which we have taken from USA. Ireland, directive principles of state policy. Australia, freedom of trade between states, national legislative power to implement treaties even on matters outside normal federal jurisdiction. Concurrent list, preamble, terminology. These are the things which we have taken from Australia. Somehow Australia is also got influenced from United Kingdom, I can say that. That is how they are having sign of uh, Great Britain's flag in Australia's flag. Then the next country is France, the nation of liberty, equality, fraternity. These things we have taken from France. Canada, quasi federal government, distribution of powers between central and state governments, residual powers retained by central governments. So main powers it will lie into hands of central, but both governments will work. Soviet Union, at the time I told you, there was one structure that was called as Soviet Union. Now, you know, these are different countries. One of the main countries is Russia, and then there were different countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. Right? A lot of countries were under the Soviet Union. So what we took, fundamental duties, mandated planning commission to oversee economic development. So Soviet Union was having the dream of that economic development should not be stopped. So this is how this has made. Then Weimar republics. This is Germany. Before Nazis, it was called as Weimar's republics. So they have taken the emergency provision from the German constitution. South Africa amending the constitution, and Japan due process. So these are different things, these are technical things, I would say. This thing. So we have taken these from the different countries. They're saying the Indian constitution is the world's longest for a sovereign nation. As its enactment, it had 395 articles, 22 parts, and 8 schedules. At about 1,45,000 words, it is the second longest active constitution after the Constitution of Alabama in the world. That is the state of America. The Constitution has a preamble of 470 articles, which are grouped into 25 parts with 12 schedules and 5 appendices. It has been amended 104 times. The latest amendment became effective on January 14th, 2019. What are the parts? So these are the following parts. Preamble, which tells you about like a oath kind of, you can see that it tells that we are socialist, secular, and integrated state country. Then we have state and union territories, citizenship, fundamental rights, directive principles, fundamental duties, union, states, duties, panchayat, municipalities, SCs, STs, finance, trade and commerce, So they have tried to cover everything into our constitution: languages, emergency provisions, amending the constitution, even special provisions. So these all comes under the parts of constitution. Schedules. Schedules are lists in the constitution which categorize and tabulate bureaucratic activity and government policy. So these are some of the articles which tells you that what does it mean. So schedule first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, tenth, 11th. On the basis of different articles are made, and on those articles there are different things which have tell you about, like languages, panchayati raj, Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha provision. So provision made for the administration of tribal areas like Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. So there is a whole detail about it. And it has appendices. Appendix क्या बताती हैं आपको? Constitution, which is applicable to the Jammu and Kashmir, they have said that, but now there is a change into it. We all know this thing that under Article 370, the provision was different for Jammu and Kashmir. Now it is different. Governmental source of powers. We have read in depth what are the three pillars of, what are the four pillars of Indian democracy. A question I have asked you in paper. So three pillars are executive, legislative, and judiciary. And the fourth pillar is media. भारत की डेमोक्रेसी के जो चार पिलर हैं उसमें जो तीन पिलर पहले आते हैं वो हमने पहले पढ़ चुके हैं. लेजिस्लेचर है, एग्जीक्यूटिव है, लेजिस्लेचर है और जुडिशरी है, और फोर्थ पिलर आपका मीडिया है. The constitution is considered federal in nature and unitary in spirit. इसका नेचर कैसा है? फेडरल नेचर मतलब सेंटर्ड, पावर सारी सेंटर के पास है, लेकिन यूनिटरी, फेडरल नेचर सॉरी की बंटा हुआ है, एंड यूनिटरी इन स्पिरिट, लेकिन जिसकी स्पिरिट है वो एकता की है कि जो जरूरत पड़ेगी तो ये एक है, मेन सेंट्रल एक पावर से चल रहा है, लेकिन पावर्स बंटी हुई है, तभी स्टेट्स के पास पावर मिली. It has features of federation, including codified supreme constitution, a three-tier governmental structure, central, state, and local. Division of powers. Judiciary is there. One constitution, single citizenship. These are some of the points which makes it exclusive and powerful. Every state has its own government. Although the prime minister and president, each president and prime minister, each has a governor in union territories, a lieutenant governor, and a chief minister. We have read union territories, so we discussed in some of the UTs it has chief minister, some of the UTs it has lieutenant governor, and some of the UTs it is direct under the direct control of governor. These are provisions because as per the situation of India, India has very diversified culture. We live under one culture. We have different states, different languages, different setups. You cannot compare. So that is how it was the need of the time that every system it should be controlled in a different way. That is how UTs have been made. As I told you that, like geographical, you know, situation of Daman and Diu, Andaman, Nicobar Island. To make them UT, it was important because these were geographically far from the states, because these are the islands situated in a water, in a sea, ocean. So it was very hard for country to control sometime in case of some emergency situation. So that is why these have been made as UTs, union territories. So these UTs come direct under the direct control of central government. ताकि किसी तरीके की कोई प्रॉब्लम ना आए. The Indian Constitution is world's most frequently amended national governing document because, as per the situation, as per the demands, they are saying we are amending, not changing, we are amending our constitution. Limitations. In Keshwananda Bharti versus State of Kerala case, the Supreme Court ruled that an amendment cannot destroy what it seeks to modify. It cannot tinker with the Constitution's basic structure of framework, which are immutable. Such an amendment will be declared invalid. Although no part of the Constitution is protected from amendment, the basic structure doctrine does not protect any one provision of the Constitution. According to the doctrine, the Constitution basic feature cannot be abridged or abolished. These basic features have not been fully defined, and whether a particular provision of the Constitution is a basic feature is decided by the court. So they're saying whether we can do amendments, but the Supreme Court has said that amendment should not be in such a way that a feeling of changing the Constitution it would come out. It should not feel like a Constitution में change किया जा रहा है. So that is what they are trying to tell the basic feature of the constitution, that constitution cannot be changed. So what points it comes out? They are saying supremacy of the constitution, republic and democratic form of government, secular nature, separation of powers, and its federal character. These were the things which it has come into. Another thing they have said that as per the judicial structure, Supreme Court, High Court may declare the amendment null and void if this is violated. So they have made the guardians, Supreme Court and High Court. If they feel like, under the judicial review, if they feel like something has been changed or tried, so they can make that amendment as null. That this is not applicable. In 1967, Olaknath versus State of Punjab decision, the Supreme Court ruled that the State of Punjab could not restrict any fundamental rights protected by the basic structure. So there is one case जो कि हो चुका है पंजाब में 1967 जिसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसको ओवररूल किया कि नहीं इसको ऐसे नहीं किया जा सकता बेसिक फंडामेंटल राइट्स के ऊपर कोई भी अमेंडमेंट नहीं की जा सकती जुडिशरी which is free from their saying it any control which is called as the watchdog preventing legislative or executive act from overstepping constitutional bounds. That is how governments they even file their cases in Supreme Courts. They go to Supreme Court on the basis. Like recently, we know that SYL canal, there is an issue between India and Haryana. The case is in Supreme Court. They are listening to the, you know, disputes of the states. So judiciary is free from such pressure. Judicial reviews we just have discussed. We have taken it from the United States Constitution that how can we do it. So they are saying it like if there is a need, we can do it. All pre-constitutional laws, if they conflict wholly or partly with the Constitution, shall have all conflicting provisions deemed ineffective until an amendment to the Constitution ends the conflict. So ये judicial reviews की power को और बढ़ाता है. Tells that if it is felt somewhere that governments are trying to distort as a watchguard, judiciary will take action at that point. Flexibility, according to Granville's Austin, the Indian Constitution is first and foremost a social document and is aided by its part third and fourth, which is fundamental rights and directive state policy, acting together as its chief instrument and its conscience in realizing the goals set by it for all the people. Constitution has deliberately been worded in generalities and to ensure its flexibility. कह रहे हैं कि बहुत flexible बनाया गया इसको. बहुत फ्लेक्सिबल बनाया गया इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को. The constitution has deliberately been worded in generalities, not in a way. Generally इसको लिखा गया. We have taken that from the USA. So this is how they have quoted कि Chief Justice of USA के क्या बोल रहे हैं जॉन मार्शल जी. Great outline should be marked its important objects designated and minor ingredients which compose those objects be deducted from the nature of objects themselves. A document intended to endure for ages to come must be interpreted not only based on the intentions and understanding of its framers but in the existing social and political context. कह रहे हैं कि इतना फ्लेक्सिबल होना चाहिए कि अगर समाज बदल रहा है, एग्जिस्टिंग सोशल पोलिटिकल कंटेक्स्ट बदल रहा है, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली उसको बनाया जा सके. ये नहीं कि वो इतना रिजिड हो कि हम उसको चेंज ही ना कर पाए. Okay. The right to life granted under Article 21 has been expanded to include a number of human rights, including right to speedy trial, right to water, right to earn a livelihood, right to health, and right to education. These are main fundamental, you can say that, provisions which have been made in the Indian Constitution. They are saying retired judge of the Indian Supreme Court finally has given a statement. What does he say? If the Indian Constitution is our heritage, bequeathed to us by our founding fathers, हमें एक प्रेजेंट किया गया है हमारे फाउंडिंग फादर्स के द्वारा. No less are we, the people of India, the trustees, custodians of values which pulsate within its provisional. पल्स चल रही है उसकी. A constitution is not a parchment of paper. It's the way of life has to be lived up to. एक तरीका है जिंदगी जीने का. Internal vigilance is the price of liberty, and in the final analysis, its only keepers are the people. हम लोग ही इसको रखने वाले हैं, इसको चलाने वाले हैं. हमारे लिए ही है. बेसिकली ये बताता है कि हमें हमें हमारी जिंदगी जो है वो सभ्य तरीके से कैसे जीनी चाहिए. क्योंकि अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन नहीं होगा तो हम जंगल राज में आ जाएंगे, एक दूसरे के साथ जंगलियों की तरह व्यवहार करेंगे. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, इसके बावजूद हमारे सामने देखिए क्या हाल है. अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ना हो तो यहाँ पर क्या हाल होगा. So that is the end of today's lecture, Constitution of India. And I am going to stop the recording. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, you prepare it, and I will also take your attendance.